Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Office
Damn.
Hours.
With a whole new intro.
We're back, y'all. We strayed
Great
we
job,
strayed
Wade.
to Twitch for a little while, but we are back here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. If you're watching the replay, this is Office Hours, and we have not been on YouTube for a little while over on the Adobe Live YouTube. So let's reintroduce ourselves. I'm Andrew Hawkrattle. Hello.
I'm Nick Longo. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back.
So this show happens every single week at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays, and we help you level up your creative careers. We pick a theme each week, and we talk about that theme, and we show you demos about how to use that theme. We look at case studies that are happening within the world of design, and we help you with advice from us, the experts, here to help you. If you want to say hi, check it out. You can say hi over there, chat. You're on screen. We want to make sure that you felt included and that you felt here. If you're watching the replay, that's what's happening in the conversation. If you're watching over on YouTube, because we like to be live here on Behance with you. So if you're watching on YouTube, behance.net/Adobe Live is where we are. And Nick, let's go ahead and chat real quick about what we are talking about today. I'm very excited. What is our keyword for our episode today?
Let's see. I think it's what's the symbol of Zen when you're yogaing? It's balance.
Yes, that's right. It is. But it could be like I don't know, it could be French. It could be like a fancy balance, like a balance.
Balance.
Balance. That's right.
That's you. If you need to say it in French, just kind of add a fun little accent, right?
Balance. Balance. That is going to be our talk for today. We're going to be talking all about balance. And if you are a designer and creative, you know that balance is very important. So we're going to be talking about visual hierarchy. We're going to be talking about balancing your compositions, but we also are going to be talking about work-life balance, right? It's important for us to find a little bit of work-life balance. Nick, every week so far, we have had something very special that we start the show with. It seems like design has been like, just going, it's popping off, as they say.
I know.
Right
so
now.
many good topics and examples to share with you guys. And it fits perfect because that's what we called it, right? Trendworthy.
Trendworthy. So today we are going to start out, of course, with Trendworthy, talking about good old Warner Brothers.
Wow.
All right, everybody. So Warner Brothers, here we are. Nick, do you want to give a little bit of history of the chaos that is Warner Brothers at this point?
They just can't figure out this shield, can they? It has
so
gone
true.
back and forth and back and forth. All the leading agencies have tackled this thing.
Yes.
And
So for reference, this is Shermath and
crazy.
Geismar and Haviv, which is one of the top agencies. Then we move over here. This is Pentagram, who also just did this rebrand. And before that, they had rebranded pretty much to this, but like different. So
yeah.
today we are going to do a Trendworthy and look at balance because we don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers, y'all. Nick, what is your take? Let's kind of go and look through each one and then kind of give our takes. So
let's do it.
Pentagram. This rolled out in 2022, 21.
Wow.
This is less than 5 years old,
Not that
for
old.
sure.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yes, and we all know.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say we all know the Warner Brothers Shield. This was a new, fresh take on it. What's your take on this, Nick?
I felt like this one was streamlined. It was like aerodynamic. It was so much more adventurous, bold, and confident to me. It was an evolution of what the previous original might look like. You know, I think it definitely, there you go. If you want to see the original there's an interesting take. I'm not this big fan of like the golden ratio having to be a part of everything, but they did use it here. They did really look at the streamline of this thing and the way that shield feels so much more empowered, doesn't it to you? I mean, like, not a fan of the text below. I think that was a weird misplaced kind of combo there, right? That's what I'm looking at. But
man, yeah, I think this one, when we talk about balance, this one to me feels so balanced. It's not heavy. It feels regal. It feels tall. It feels legendary. Like, it feels like, to me, it has like credibility to it. To me, it feels a little more like government official kind of. It feels like it's more credible for some reason.
Right. And I love the way the B stroke goes into where the W stroke is.
Yes.
You notice that angle that's kind of coming through there.
Right.
I like that you said. I like that you said legendary.
Yes.
Because I think you have to look at what a brand is known for, and Warner Brothers, on compared to other places, is struggling quite frankly for their identity and content. Everybody else seems to have figured it out.
Yep.
And the one thing they have is truly DC Comics. I think is the only big kind of tentpole thing that still existed. I think this one feels more superhero, feels more heroic, and the other one, I think, where they misplaced it was it kind of went back to the roaring 20s of like film.
Yeah, it feels like Warner Brothers, like both of these brands are kind of living in the past a little bit. And when he said, right, the comics, like this is a perfect example that it's cycling through all the different applications. And I think like the comics, they have Scooby-Doo, they've got Harry Potter in there. And I love seeing the application like this. It feels so simple and refined and regal and structured. And like the shape just looks so good. And it's so useful for like these different properties that they have.
Yeah. It's like what we talked about last 2 weeks ago about those fill logos, the MTV, the TBS, right?
Yes.
You give it a shape, you give it a vessel, and it can be filled in multiple different ways.
Yep. And look at custom type. I actually like that the custom type has a kind of throwback
Flair.
to the 1920s kind of like it just looks, it feels very Hollywood, which I love.
Yes.
And
the
I think
soundstage vibe.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's what Warner Brothers is it's like classic Hollywood. Like these look amazing.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
yes, this was, and look at all this collateral. So this is all gone. This collateral, like just all looks so good. But this is unfortunately gone now for this rebrand. So this is Shermayeff and Geismar and Haviv. And let's just scroll through this, and Nick, give us your take on the changes here.
It's not that it's bad. I just think when you've streamlined the logo, you've made that choice to be a little more edgy, a little bit more, like you said, legendary, to squash it a little bit and make it this like almost, I just don't know first, I don't know what value they got out of this. The hundreds of thousands of dollars, the millions they're going to spend in repurposing in video and in all of their home video and online. Was it worth it, guys?
Was it worth it, chat? That's going to be the question today. Was it worth it? Go ahead and put in chat if you think it was worth it. You can see over right below me on screen what the sentiment is going to be if you're watching replay or something else. Was it worth it? And if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comment in the comments. Here's the thing. This is and I tweeted this and I like stand by it. This is the greatest example of a rebrand I've ever seen. Like greatest example showing off a new logo visually.
Yeah.
Like I definitely am on the zone of like, why? It just doesn't seem like that big of a change for me. I think it's cool. I think the squattiness to me reads a little bit differently, right? It's going from like Warner Brothers to like Warner Brothers. It feels more like I don't know, it feels more silly to me for some reason. To me, it's giving me very Scooby-Doo. Like that's all I see is Scooby-Doo.
Because and also you think of like Scooby-Doo's diamond little necklace thing.
It's giving me it's
the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very similar to that as well. I just wonder if it was worth it. I wonder I'm sure there's some reason. You always got to ask the reason for a rebrand. There's got to be something of rationale to say, yes, Warner Brothers, it was worth spending all that money and having a whole new in just less than 5 years. DC Comics went through the same thing.
Yep.
Remember when DC went through the whole, you can look at their evolution and someone made that one where the sea looked like it was peeling back.
Yes.
And it was, remember, and because that was the whole thing about DC was comic books and it was like the page turn to reveal and everybody had a, right?
Screaming. That's crazy. Same mock-up. Well, different mock-up, but like same shots.
Oh,
of the
yeah.
two. This looks so much better, in my opinion.
Better.
Like seeing them side by side.
Oh, dude, you nailed it by saying one looks like Warner Brothers and the other one looks like Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Like it's just wow. I wonder, maybe they have big plans for whatever's happening with their streaming or something, and there's some reason we don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
So chat, this is the one that is currently in use, Shermayeff and Geismar and Haviv. This just rolled out this week. This is the one that was by Pentagram. So just looking at the difference, I don't get it. I think that like this is cool the way they're doing this effect, but again, it feels so squatty. So I don't know. we'll see what happens. They're celebrating 100 years, so maybe that is kind of the reason for the rebrand, is that they're hitting 100 years. So again, there's no right or wrong answers in design. It's whether it works or not. And to me, this one is kind of a sure, it works. Why not? I don't know how much it's like leveling it up, but it works. Why not?
They spent a lot of time showing the before and after, though, and I think that's a little odd. Like, if you're really confident in it, you just show the before and after once, but they show it multiple times.
Yeah,
and it's a competitor of theirs. So I don't know. It just seems a little odd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
what do you guys think?
Anyway, what do you think, chat? It looks like chat is saying we've got the pentagrams is better. Not everything old is new again. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but that is something where we're looking at balance. Nick, here's the question to take away from all of this.
Sure.
Looking at balance for people who own businesses or are looking to do rebrands, what is the balance of when you need to rebrand? When do you think that you need to rebrand?
There's a lot of different things. Big companies have to do it for certain reasons. I think us smaller folks could do it for maybe a few. My biggest thing would be if you are talking to a different audience, if you are changing the trajectory of your business to something that doesn't match the current one, or if, legally or bad press or something like that, you have to do it as well. I think a lot of companies have changed their name, changed their complete branding because of maybe something in the news, maybe some bad press. But for us, I really think the whole idea is if you realize you're in the wrong zone. I was just talking to someone about personal brand, like if you call it under your name or a company name, that's a weird time to kind of change too, right? Where you go from like Longo Designs to like Clever Studio, like, something totally different. That's a rebrand, and that's something you got to balance the pros and cons with that. And I think that's where it probably comes in. What would you say is a good way to look at the balance on that?
I always tell my clients when they're starting to get tired of their brand, people are just noticing. Because when you are like, it's time for rebrand, people are finally just noticing like, hey, they have a brand. So usually I'll say like 3 to 5 years after that. Like,
yeah,
after you get tired of it, give it another 3 to 5 years, and then it's time to rebrand. Like, let it roll a little bit and see once the public starts like realizing that you've rebranded, what's their opinion? How are they taking it? Because we're so close to the projects between us, the designers, and the companies. Like, it's hard for us to know when it's tired or when it's time, because to us, we want to just constantly be on the move. And we're like, we've been looking at this for 3 years. And they're like, well, the public hasn't noticed yet.
Yeah. What would you say is the worst ever example of a rebrand? Because there's been
Gap.
two.
It's Gap. 100% it's Gap.
I mean,
like
I still think that was a promotional marketing scheme.
Yes.
It never rolled out, and it was so terrible. Like, it was
so bad. Yes.
Wow.
So if you guys don't, again, we're talking about balance. If you don't remember,
there was no balance in the new one.
This is one of the worst rebrands of all time. It lasted for 6 days, it looks like. What if it was? What if they did just do it as a promo? I love that idea.
I think it was because it was right on the heels of when Tropicana did theirs, and they really did theirs because they rolled out with it. There were products with their rebrand, and it did so bad their sales tanked. It put them in the limelight, though. It got headlines. So who knows? Could some marketing genius at Gap say, hey, they're struggling to find their identity. I can't tell you the last time I've walked into a Gap and at some point in everyone's life is.
Can you tell me the last time you walked into a Gap? Do they even exist anymore?
Yeah, we still got one in our mall, but I'm like, it's so vanilla. Like, It's, you know what I mean? Like, what do you stand for? What is your platform? What is your defining, brand positioning?
Yep.
I can find better stuff at Target.
And I'm going to show real quick, probably my favorite when we're talking about balance, right? Rolling out a brand. Again, we have to find balance in our excitement in whatever the brand is. This was the most overhyped brand rollout I've ever seen in my life. It's one of my favorite videos, and it is indeed the Staples rebrand. Do you remember this video, Nick, when it rolled out?
No.
Oh, dude. So the Staples rebrand is all
Is this when they got rid of the staple?
No, this is when they unbent the staple.
And they made the desk?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So literally
oh my
it is,
God.
yes. That it's like, oh, here is the Staples logo. It was always that little bent staple, like the cute little moment. And then it's this huge moment of, what if the new brand was, it's unbent and now it's a staple? Yes. So this, and like people, like God, it's so much. So we're talking about balance. I think that this might have been a little overboard on the balance of kind of rebranding. And again, it's what is the value?
But it was always a staple. I think it was more of a staple with the bent one.
Yes.
Then and it was the L. Oh gosh, yeah. Don't even get me started. If the Staples Center still was in existence, it's no longer. It's now crypto or whatever.
Arena.
I could have never seen that new Staples logo on there. Never. It's legit.
It's a lot.
LA based. Come on.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop in and let's give some expert insight, kind of some examples, and kind of look at some different versions of balance. And actually, you know what? Let's do this as a get inspired. So let's get inspired by some examples of balance in graphic design. There we go.
Who's our get inspired guy? I love it.
Nick, where did you go? Nick,
I don't know.
It's my fault. There he is. Hold on, that's not him.
Ooh, with a lovely sidebar.
Man.
Awesome.
All right, Nick. I'm so sorry.
We have to give our get inspired guy a name.
Yeah.
What's the name, guys?
Yeah. Let's do instead. Let's do this as expert insight. Again, this shows your favorite dumpster fire here on Adobe Live. All right, so we're here. Nick's back. Hi, Nick. Let's talk about some expert insight. Look at some examples of balance in graphic design. I think that we see balance a lot in web design. We have to have it in web design.
Right?
It's big. So,
it's
Nick,
the first impression.
Talk to us about some of these examples that we got here. HubSpot.
Yeah, I want to find some really good ones. This HubSpot one really shows the example of that balance. When you have an image and a cluster of kind of design elements on one side, and then it's balanced to the typography, the button, the headline on the other side, what a kind of nice first impression this makes. And there's no, like, this didn't happen by chance, right? This was, you can see the guidelines, you can see the structure of this as well. I like that it's almost like centered in a way, and there's plenty of hierarchy. And I'm a big fan of that type just being like there as a headline, not shouting at you. It feels friendly, it feels inviting, and then a really good call to action button, just perfectly centered with everything else.
Yep.
Great balance.
I agree. So we're talking about balance. If you're working with hierarchy, symmetry is usually the best way to find balance, is to do some really great symmetry. And this can be symmetrical with a twist, or in the case of the Starbucks logo, perfect symmetry, right? And I think I've always thought that the Starbucks logo felt really top heavy. And I like to think of it, if you put a pin in the middle of your image, of your logo, of your design, right? So we've got, I'm going to put, like, if there was a pin right here.
Yes.
And the whole logo was on this pin. Excuse me.
Yes.
My goodness. I shouldn't have had dairy before I streamed. So if there was a pin underneath this logo, let's say it's a coaster, where is it going to fall? Like, if this was cut out, it would fall to the top, right? It feels like the momentum and the weight is all going this way. And to me, that makes like an unbalanced logo. So I've always felt like the Starbucks logo has too much negative space. Like, I would want to see like this closed off here.
Okay.
And I think to me that would help to like balance it.
This is counterpoint right now.
Ooh.
I agree. I disagree.
Okay.
I think if that opening was on the top and it was more of and had a U kind of shape, that would feel unbalanced to me. I'd feel like it'd want to wobble over one way to the other. But I feel like if you think of the negative space, because it is the body, to me, I feel like that's just as solid as any green that would be there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think it keeps it like, it's that whole thing about, can I make this, we can even make this simpler. Like, that's what I always look at as a logo too. Like, I think you can get rid of some of those extra lines in the tail and maybe one line in the hair. And I think they even have a logo that for when it's much smaller, it gets a little simplified, right? You know how you simplify certain logos at small scale when they're like under an inch or something like that.
Yeah, they keep scaling down.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
That's fine. So again, balance. Apple's probably the best. Apple achieves balance through having like less, right? They just have less
Totally.
to balance, right? It's really easy to achieve balance when you have less to balance. Instead of having
Yeah.
a bunch of things on the website, it's like, hey, here's 3 or 4 things, right? And everything is perfectly symmetrical. It's always like, doesn't feel like it's leaning one way or the other. It's always very grounded. It's always very on a grid. And that's a great way to work, is just find a grid. Here we're using a thirds, right?
Yeah.
So you can see left third empty, right third empty, content middle third. Easy grid.
It's kind of unique too when you think of the form function or the form shape of the smartphone, and Apple being one of the first to have to kind of figure out how is it going to be photographed, right? How are we going to show this off in a way? And they always do. What I love is some of these ones that even are imbalanced or asymmetrical, right? They still have a very good balance of weight and hierarchy and everything. But think about it. Everybody else now, you watch the Google stuff, you watch any Android stuff, you watch any other manufacturer, they're all doing the exact same copy when it comes to layout of these products.
Yes.
And so this works. It really works.
Yep, it's balanced. The Chanel logo, another great example of symmetry, like perfect symmetry. I think that this is, again, timeless. And I think that things that work mathematically and visually, that's how you kind of achieve that timelessness that you hear people talk about. Is it's like, it's hitting the golden ratio, it looks balanced, it feels balanced, and the math of it is balanced. I think that if this was offset a little bit, right? If we had it so that the other C was like down to add some visual interest or whatever, it would not be as timeless as it is. Coco Chanel is timeless because of the symmetry and the simple shapes and the way that it's interacting and just locked in. I think this is a perfect example of balance.
Do you think it's great because I always look at it this way. It's a very simple design, right? You could do this in 4 seconds on Illustrator. Let's just be honest. Is it amazing because they were the first to do it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously they've kept it for over, I'm sure, how old is this logo? At least 100 years, probably, I would assume.
Yes. Yeah, at least.
You know, so that they own it, and that's wonderful. And I think that's great. And obviously no one's going to come close to this because it would be copyright, in a heartbeat. I'm sure they're protecting it. So I almost think because they were first to use it, they get a little pass from me.
That's probably fair. That's probably fair. Yeah, that's probably fair. So this is a great example of, I think, balance through imbalance. I think that like when you push things to a certain level of chaos, it like comes all the way back around and balances again. And so I love having like the cutoff text on the right, the kind of like obscure images on the left, and we're still feeling right that if we put something in the middle, it feels like the edges are really heavy, so it's just gonna weigh it down and be balanced still. And so I like that this is like gray. Chaos and balance.
Okay, so this is more up your alley, I think, in design skills and like. So, question for you: when you're trying this or trying to obtain that balance in your first few kind of renditions of something like this, is it intentional? Is it luck? Is it just experimenting and stopping when you see the balance? What's the right path to this?
So what I would usually do is I would kind of block things out. So if I was working on this, I'd probably know that I want the type over here being cut off because that seems like it's like the most interesting element. And then I'd start kind of blocking stuff out of like, okay, I need something to like fill in some of this empty space. I probably would want something here. And then like, I'd want to have a moment here. I probably would have put something here as well. And then I would have gone like, okay, I want a big photo over here. And so like, let's drop a big photo over here. So I definitely would have blocked this out a little bit.
Good. Yeah.
Yes, I would have done something similar to this to kind of block out what I wanted it to be and then fill that in. Because I want to make sure that these shapes on their own would be able to still balance. So a lot of times I would throw stuff around, but I very often will do placeholders like that. Just fill in little rectangles and be able to balance it visually and then figure out what content goes in those rectangles.
Cool. I even like the boldness of like the shape over the photo. The idea that like what is that? It's kind of darkening that eye and it's like it's an interesting choice, and yet I feel like it works. It adds some emotion to it as well. Really nice. Feels like
I love that. I would have put this here.
We're so opposite, man.
I know.
I totally would hate that, and you would totally love that.
Yeah, I would have done like something there, to like add some interest on that piece, I think. And then I would have taken text. I would have taken like some of this text and put more text down there. Here. Mm-hmm. And then I might have even taken a crop of this photo and put a crop of this photo right here. Right? To balance that out a little bit. I don't know. So yeah, it very much is just trying to find that balance by using simple shapes, and then you can plug in whatever your content is after the fact.
Yeah.
I need to do that. That looks like a fun.
There you go.
That's a fun practice.
Fun exercise.
All right, let's talk about type hierarchy. This is a big one. This is what is going to be our DIY. And I don't know if we want to do the transition now or when we get there. Let's talk about what type hierarchy is, and then we can get into some DIY.
Yeah, here's a perfect example of just making sure your eye goes to the exact thing it should go to first, and then kind of an order after that of importance. And I think the having the name in the darkest color, kind of more prominent, the biggest size, a little bit of letter spacing, everything else being added as, I always like to call it, like a bit of frosting, right? It's like added on as a ornament or something unique afterwards. I even love the little circular things of both the color palette and maybe the little side kind of mark there on the left.
I do too. I haven't seen a brand laid out like this, and I love this little like color wheel.
Yeah. I still have an issue with when I look at something that I've created, I think it has hierarchy. And what I typically do is send it to 2 or 3 people and say, tell me where this is wrong.
Is this real?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, cause I mean, like I think we all have that what we think is right when it comes to balance and hierarchy in a lot of ways. So best tip of the whole thing is show other eyes every time when something is like that is kind of a little questionable.
So let's go ahead and do some DIY, show you how to find the perfect type hierarchy. You could do it all by yourself. Okay, so we're going to show you how to find the perfect type hierarchy and find balance with your typography. And there is a great site, Adobe Fonts. Fonts.adobe.com is really the place to be. And this is where you can get all of the best resources for type. Any fonts that you want, probably here. So there's a bunch of ways to look through things. We're going to start out and make it real easy. We're going to scroll down here, and we are just going to look at Featured Foundries, Explore Designer, Adobe Fonts on Behance. There is a ton of resources for you to find. So we're going to go into Featured Foundries. And from here, it's going to give us a bunch of foundries. So these are all of the slow load.
Slow. Always good here too.
There we go.
The whole idea is you pick something and you go to the foundry of the font you have. Chances are they're going to have a beautiful complementary font as well.
So what's cool is there's also categories here. So you can find staff choices, innovative ideas, women driven. I like the workhorse catalog. So let's do that. So we're going to click on workhorse, and this is going to give us a kind of collection of fonts to use. So we're going to do Visit Foundry, and it will show us all of the fonts from this foundry. Boom.
Great
Hold on.
name for
This is great.
Ooh, yeah,
I'm like
Grenadine.
discovering things for projects I'm working on.
I love that.
Yeah, this stream is for you, but also for me. Grenadine, I love this. So you can scroll through here. You can see all these great fonts. I'm just going to sync this because I'm going to use it later, and it's great. These colors are fun too. So you can do that. Yeah. But what I'd suggest that you do is click on font packs up here. So you can see it says font packs. And if you click on font packs, it's going to take you to all of the font packs here that are
Bauhaus.
Right? Oh, you want to do Bauhaus?
Oh no, I that's more of a collection, right?
Oh, we're here now.
I know where you're going. The font packs they can be from different foundries, correct?
Yes.
Like that's the cool part about how Adobe has curated this together. But Bauhaus is by far my favorite.
Yes, my favorite font on Adobe Fonts, Dunbar, right here.
Nice.
You can download it, one of my favorites. So when we're looking for a good hierarchy, it's very, very easy for you to just come in here, find something, so we can scroll and soft pop.
Soft pop, perfect.
Interesting.
Like if that's in your discovery, if
actually,
those are words you're using.
This feels very Nick. Let's do Heritage
Which one?
Craft.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that local
Nick just got
art.
So excited.
Oh, these are going to be the new colors of my website.
Right? So you can see here
Gorgeous.
that it has these
Yeah.
fonts, this kind of collection for us. And what's great is you can actually change the text size here so you can see what it looks like. And let's say that we want to find our headline. I can type in headline, and I actually really like what's happening here, right, with Pence. But then I might want to do something down here with Etna to find a body copy. And so then I can type in something. Let's just type in a sentence.
Already there for you.
There you go. Take the size down. You can see this makes a really nice body copy. So you can preview it all here before having to sync anything. It all is just here for you on Adobe Fonts. Nick is so excited about this. Now,
Where's the local folk art one? Where's that font?
that is...
Are one of those a variable font?
Yes, it's got to be this. Let me see.
Because it's like the coolest font ever.
Yeah, let's find out what it is.
We must know.
Oh, dude, this is a workhorse. Look at those letters.
Oh,
whoa.
Wow. What is that one on the left? This is all
Edda.
H.
Yeah, they're together.
Edda.
Yep.
Okay.
Look at that.
Don't
N.
don't do this to me.
Look at this. This N is basically like a sideways S. That is wild. Okay, we're just freaking out about fonts. Let's show you how to find some actual hierarchy. Nick, make a note of that. So what you can do is
freak out with us, guys.
Yes.
This is fonts are the best.
This is what we do. If you have a favorite font that is on Adobe Fonts, go ahead, put it in chat for us right now.
Pop it in chat.
Pop it in chat.
Hear it.
We will look it up. We'll try to incorporate it. But we're going to go to Browse All Fonts. And this is a great place
We'll
to
tell
start
you if it's
finding
balanced.
Yeah, we'll tell you if you like it, or we'll just ignore it if it's not. So this is a great place to find hierarchy. And what you can do is you can look over on the side, and there are all kinds of tags. If you want to look at tags, comics, inline, shaded, school, Western, all kinds of fun stuff. But then under that, it has classifications. And Nick, let's talk about these classifications and these properties. What are these? We're going to do a little quiz with you in chat and with Nick, if you want to give you the information in a little fun way. Nick, what's a sans serif?
Sans serif has no serifs. It is a straightforward monoline kind of font. Doesn't have those little kind of extra little ornate kind of tails or whatever you want to call them, legs.
Yes. So if I click on that, it is going to filter to only sans serif. And I saw this one pop up and I was like, this looks delicious. What is this? And then I saw it was Interstate and I was like, oh yeah, no wonder it's delicious. So sans serif, no pointies, only very clean lines. Nick, what would we use a sans serif for?
I like it for body copy in a lot of ways too. If you want a contemporary, I think it's more the personality. It's more contemporary, it's more modern, more fresh, less ornate, less classic. So contemporary is probably my favorite way to look at it. Just look at the birth of Helvetica, and it was built and made for pure communication.
Agreed. So you can also filter to serifs. And Nick, what is a serif font?
Now this is where you have the little fun little legs and edges and things on there. And there's so many varieties of serifs. They're not obviously all the same. And what's neat is you can see like some of these here are just little kind of finishes off the edge of an edge rather than a full-on leg or kind of something that looks like a stand, right? And they go quite minimal too, which is awesome. I love those ones that are in between. The ones that have kind of just the slight enough there that still feel contemporary. But in a lot of cases, it hasn't been proven that upper and lower case, like Bookman, things that are more seen in publications are much easier to read, long periods, long paragraphs.
Yep. So slab serif is the next one. Slab serif is a mix of the both. So slab serifs are basically, they have the extra little serifs, the extra little points, but they're usually rounded or they're a rectangle. So it's a little bit more chunky. So slab serifs are good. So those are the three kind of hierarchies. If we come down here, you can see in the properties panel, there is weight, width, X height, contrast, all kinds of fun stuff. So Nick, let's go ahead and think of a celebrity or person. And when you're making a balanced hierarchy, it's helpful to be able to think about a person and then try to match their voice. So Nick, who is our celebrity going to be that we're going to create a type hierarchy for?
I was just listening to him, Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars. Okay, Bruno Mars. All right, so chat, you're going to help us describe the voice of Bruno Mars. What kind of attributes would you use in that voice? And when we're working on type hierarchy, we are trying to find a way to match and communicate that voice, right? We have a headline, we have a subhead, and we have a body copy. So 3 levels, right? And the way that I like to think about it is 1 is yelling to everyone in the room, right? That's our headline, the biggest one. The second one, right, is kind of asking someone to come over, right? We're saying like, hey, everybody's gonna get your attention.
Now that I got you.
And now, the next level is, okay, now that I've got you, let me tell you about this thing, right? And then the third one down, which is your body copy, is saying, all right, so here's the thing that I'm gonna tell you about. It's all this stuff, and that's the actual conversation, right? So we're doing those 3 levels for Bruno Mars, trying to find that kind of balance. Chat, let me know what is the voice of Bruno Mars. Put it in chat and let us know, and we are going to start exploring that. Let's start with the headline. Nick, what kind of attributes for a Bruno Mars kind of type hierarchy balance?
He could be
headline
summed up in one word, and that's funk.
Funk. I love that.
And I know we got funky.
And look at, we got funky right here. So whenever I think about Bruno Mars, and when I'm thinking about creating a headline for that, all that I can think about is the beginning of Perm, I think. And Perm, he like starts out and he goes, it's your birthday, and he just like is like yelling, I throw some perm on attitude, right? So it's funky, it's bold, it's big, it's boisterous. So we're gonna click funky here and see what happens. And again, we're trying to think as creatives, what is the balance between funky and communication, right? Not all these works. That's fun. I'm just gonna go ahead and open that another tab for me later.
I just started messing with that one.
Energetic.
I do like that one below to the left of the one you just clicked.
This one right here?
No. One down and then to the right. That one.
Okay. This is giving me offage hours.
Obviously, we'll put Bruno Mars in instead of... There we go.
All right, so let's do Bruno Mars. To me, Bruno feels like expensive as well. I think that this feels a little bit cheap
24
to
karat.
me, where I feel like Bruno feels a little bit more expensive. Energetic, I agree. So we can come over here and let's try to find that balance by using these different properties. So Nick, we're talking about funk and opulence. What kind of
shouting?
Weight? And shouting. What kind of weight are we gonna do?
I'm gonna go the heaviest weight we got.
Heavyweight.
And then maybe like he's a short name. Not I was gonna say a short guy. He's a short name, so I don't think you have to go full narrow on that. One thing I love about the width is if you do have a long word and you say, I've got to start looking at some slim, more condensed fonts, great that they give it to you. But look at what's already being, that first one's looking really cool.
I agree.
Love that one.
I agree. So I think we found it. And I agree that when you're working with something, you can really find balance by using this width. That if it was a little bit of a shorter or a longer name, we could use this kind of medium width and find some more options. These aren't really working to me, but I do want it to feel like it's got some like weight and bigness to it. And so doing this width is great. And I do really love this. It looks like there's only one font here. And so we may have found the one. Oh, this is fun.
Oh, look at that lowercase g.
So check this out. All I need to do is click on activate font. It is activated right there. And I can come over into Illustrator and let's go ahead and scroll down. We had a lot more to talk about, but we're not going to. And we are going to type out Bruno Mars. So let's do like an intro. So I usually do, hey everybody, right? And let's do that metaphor of kind of balancing the room. So this font was called Cast. Where is it? 8. Is it just called 8?
There you go. Oh, it's just called 8. Oh,
hold on.
It's like, is it just called 8?
What is it? What is it called? Oh, it's still initializing, Andrew. All right, give it a second to sync, y'all, and then it will sync straight through. But when we do have that font, then we'll be able to use it. So we've got this, right? 8 is going to be our font. Everyone take a note of that, chat. Put it in chat. Let's look for a supporting typeface. So we have Bruno Mars in this font saying, hey, everybody.
Yes.
Right? Big, bold, boisterous. Hey, everybody. Right? Now, what's the next step down for that? They're like, hey, I want to tell you about something. Right?
We're a little calmer.
What kind of pieces? A little bit calmer. So what does that say for us if we're going to reset this here? Let's take off the funky. We're a little bit calmer now, trying to talk to everyone.
It can't compete. It could be in the same structure, the same area we found, but it can't it can't compete with the personality of the first one, but it has to complement, right?
Yes. So how would we do that? If we're looking at that font that we had and trying to complement it, how would we complement?
I would either go first, stay in the same zone, stay in the funky, and see if there's a more traditional or conservative font that works with it. Ooh, all caps.
All right,
Wow.
so we're here now in Illustrator. So you can use Adobe Fonts, which is what we were using, is great. We can actually do this right here in Illustrator as well, which is what we're going to do for the secondary. Secondary is going to say, I want to tell you something. I'm going to make this not all caps, and we're just going to
exactly. I was just going to say that, and we
bit.
need obviously something a little lighter, a little bit less of a headline font.
Yeah,
right?
so what we can do is we can click right here and then go to Find More. And Find More, this is pulling in Adobe Fonts where we just were. It's pulling that in for us so that we can kind of explore. So we can do filters here as well, just like we did in other places. Nick, what kind of type would we want to have? I think we want to keep
I might even want a script. A retro script would be kind of cool.
He says a script, so we're going to click on script here. All right, we're going somewhere. What kind of width do we want?
I think medium.
Medium, all right. And
Fine.
someone is saying a little bit more narrow.
Probably just because of it being a long sentence, and we don't want it to be larger than "Hey everybody."
Yep. And what's cool is we can turn those filters on and check this out. Now I can scroll through, and look at that. It's showing me a live view of these fonts. These aren't installed on my computer yet. They are still in the cloud, but I'm able to see them in practice. And this is where you can really find that perfect kind of balance by just scrolling through.
If someone showed you this about fonts like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, where we were going with Adobe Fonts and how seamless they'd be in the applications, this is unheard of.
Yes, I'm not mad about this.
Yeah. I would even slant it. I would italicize it.
Okay, let's do that one because I actually kind of like this. So the reasons that it's working, all I need to do is click right there on the little cloud. It will activate that for me. It will pull it together. And let's see what happens when we give this a little bit of a
What do you think while it's doing it? What about stacking "Hey everybody"?
Ooh,
What do you
okay.
think?
I can stack.
Just so it's like not so wide compared to the rest of this layout, you know?
Yes. All right, so I have this
You
font.
can even do "Hey big."
You can see right there. Oh yeah, that it is synced. All I need to do is click and boom, it's there. So I like this. So let's do "Hey everybody," and I'm actually going to use the touch type tool. Ooh. Okay, I'm not mad about that. That's kind of fun.
Nice.
Right? To do like a little, if anything else has like a fun little funky.
The Y was kind of cool. The Y had at the end, I would put one of those like that. Ooh. Yeah, that's cool.
And then I'll just
it does turn a little bit of a lowercase. There you go. Nice.
Maybe I'll scale it up a little bit. Oops. I like that. Okay, fun. I ruined this. Ruined. All right, let's center it. Perfect. All right, let's go. So we have the top, and here is the second one. This is the one that everyone was saying we wanted to use for our second step. And I'm just going to shear this by coming over here to my type panel. And we are going to use, where are you? Show font height options. Is that what I'm
Do you get a
for?
shear option in the text box?
I feel like there was a shear option in the text box. Maybe it wasn't there. I'll just shear it regularly. So all you need to do is come over to the shear tool, which is just S, and then I can click and drag, and it's going to shear it.
Try to notice what your angle is, because it's always good to know what degree you've done it. So if you have to do it again to another font. Yes. Oh yeah, that looks great.
And what's great is you can just hit enter. So with it selected with the shear tool, you can hit enter, and I can type in like 30 degrees, and that's a little bit too much for me. So I'm going to take it back to 20, and then hit OK, and check it out. Now we've got a nice little 20-degree shear. Now let's do one more that is going to be our body copy, and this is just telling the story. So I'm actually going to click and drag this out, and it will give me a body copy. It will fill it with placeholder text. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to pick real quick just a random font, and that way we can have something that's just basic to put it in.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to click and drag, and it is going to put that in there for me. Oops, Andrew, pull it together. So I'm going to pull the size of here down. All right. And then if I wanted to, I could go here, type, and then do fill with placeholder text right there.
There you go.
Pull this down. Y'all, I'm struggling.
And what's nice is the stress level goes lower and lower as you go lower into your hierarchy.
Yes.
Because right now there's probably 1,000 fonts that would work for your body copy. It just has to do the job, right? It has to have a little bit of that flair and personality that we started with. But those first two are really the most important ones, and getting that balance between harmony and kind of like readability and all that and matching your personality really works cool.
Yep. So we're working here and we're going to get a body copy. Nick, how do we find balance in a body copy? There's a lot of content. How are we going to balance it with these two? And chat, feel free to chime in if you have suggestions for this as well.
In font choice or in format?
Font choice. How do we want to pair? Because right now we have a sans serif, we have a script. What would we want to do here?
Well, there's two ways around it. I think you could probably find a really good fit in a serifed font that has a little bit of nostalgia, because I'm feeling we're getting that top font is really giving me that groovy 70s vibe. So I'm almost thinking something a little bit nostalgic in a serif or sans serif. I don't think that preference makes a difference. I
agree. And I think that doing like a mono weight that isn't super contrasty, I think will be good. And so again, I can just scroll through and find something. And I'm looking at the preview here to see if anything has that kind of like unique. That feels way too contrasty.
Even like something in a little more retro than Optima. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Optima is always a nice one in between. It's right in between because it doesn't really have serifs, but it does have a little bit of a chisel kind of taper to it.
Yep.
Ooh, that's nice. Oh. That last one you just had was good.
Corporate, this one?
Yeah, I think it was either that one or that one's even fine too.
Jello.
I guess the rule too is how far do you want body copy to have anything odd? You know, it should be very uniform, very
this has like a bold, I think I'd be okay with it.
Ooh, the bold italic look kind of good too. Although you don't want to do italic in a big old paragraph.
It's so sharp. Better. Let's do this one.
Cool.
Not mad about it. So we're going to download this right here, and then we're going to pair it up, and that is going to look good. Again, you can do this all here in Adobe Fonts, in Illustrator. It all syncs. You can see the little cloud right there is syncing, it's thinking, it's blinking, it's winking.
Doing it all.
I don't know. It's, yeah.
Well, say hi to Bruno Mars.
Hello, Bruno. So we have our type hierarchy here. We are a little bit balanced. Looking at that top level, right? A little bit of funk, a little bit of fun. Then we go into something that is a little bit different, but has a similar weight. And then we zoom out, you can see this has a really nice balance to it, I feel.
I do like it. I'm a big fan of that script too. I think just shearing it gave it a whole new readability.
Yep.
Feels a little bit more like a modern handwriting.
Yep. And let me, here, I'm just going to show you guys this because it's like a little hack that I like to use. So if you're typing something in and you want it to like have a cool like retro look or whatever, if you rotate it and shear it by the same amount, it ends up looking really cool. So if you rotate by 25 degrees and then we're going to shear by 25 degrees, this is for free. This is just extra bonus content. So then I shear by 25 degrees. We get that kind of like climbing dimensional type. And so this is something.
And we stayed with the perfect vertical when it came to they're all the parallel lines of it.
Yep.
Really look good.
Yeah. So rotating and shearing a lot of times will give you a really cool effect. And then you can even like scale these in if you want and get some kind of cool little wobble.
What if you edge shear it? What does that do?
Did you say Ed Sheeran? Calm down. Thanks for joining, everybody. Nick's out. Okay. It's just cut to holding screen. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left, and I do want to cover one more thing that we had here, and that was talking a little bit about finding life balance, right? We have a lot of life and work balance. Nick made a bunch of slides that...
This is a different turn. Yeah, I know. We said it yesterday. Balance is probably the most broad topic we could kind of cover because you can hit it in balance and design and then balance in your life and as a designer and everything that you do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So let's go ahead and go into some expert insight and talk a little bit about finding life balance for 5 minutes.
Life balance.
Life balance. All right, Nick, let's talk about life. We talked about work a lot on this show. How do you find balance in your life?
I would say this is one area I'm completely failing at right now because of just timing and everything and work and certain things. I'm cut out all of the fun little hobbies and interests over the last few weeks, and I'm feeling the difference, right? Like when you don't get to do those things that are counterbalanced of all of the work and the necessary things you have to do, the things you want to do rather than need, the minute you drop that out, you start to feel it. And I think that's where my balance is completely off of like the last 2 weeks. So get out there, do the hobby, do the interest, do whatever it is, particularly just something active. I think by far is, if you could get something fun and outside of your desk that's active, go do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Join a bowling league. That's my
there
thing.
You go.
I'm a bowler now.
Yeah.
Yes, go find something that is outside of here. Practice self-care. This is so important. Physically, emotionally, mentally, all of those things. Practice self-care, right? Do some exercise, try to get sleep, try to be mindful, right? If you don't, there's a mindfulness app.
Calm is a great one.
Calm's a great one.
Yep.
So you can practice
Most of it's
self-care
free.
in a whole bunch of different ways. If you feel like you need something, let yourself do that thing, right? Just be kind to yourself, because we go so hard on all of our work, all of our creativity. We're constantly like pounding our brains for things. So just give it a second.
Yeah. Even my watch tells me when it's time to stop, and breathe a little bit. And I've used the breath work so much over the last few years, particularly like the last few years. It is a good
Your watch is just like, hey, calm down. Hey, chill.
Yeah, it's like I've got a leg on your blood pressure. I know exactly where you're at right now.
Next, disconnect.
Totally. See, we can't even read screens anymore.
Yeah. Nick, talk about this one. Disconnect from technology as you sit here watching a live stream.
Totally. I heard someone talk about their 2-week break from technology and screens a few days ago on a podcast, and I thought, what an incredible, can you imagine that feeling? So just add a bit of it each day, finding that time that you are doing that break and getting out and being active. Put things away. I think the watch is a good thing, or whatever, even if you don't have it, just getting rid of something and doing things without it and relying on just you and the people around you and the activity you're doing. We forgot that that's how we lived our lives, 100% of the time, just as recently as a few years ago.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy.
Travel and explore. Try to find places to travel to. Go to a conference. That is the best work-life balance. You get a little bit of work, a little bit of life. Go to a conference. Nick, there's some
this is
coming
conference season.
Yeah, this is conference season. There's a whole bunch of conferences coming up. Adobe Max is coming up. I think that they announced the dates.
Yep.
So do that and come to Adobe Max.
Put that on your list.
Put that on your list. Adobe Max. Travel and explore. Set realistic goals and prioritize. Nick, how do you do this one? This is wild.
Yeah, this is at the end of each day, I write my goals for the next day. And it makes me feel better ending the day today, but it also makes me feel better knowing I have that front and center on my desk. But I think for sure, everything that we're talking about here, if you're not prioritizing these things and kind of scheduling a quick little look at the calendar, you can veer off of it very easily. So just making sure you're giving yourself all of that time, really important.
Yep, absolutely. So
yeah,
that is how you find life balance. Speaking of balance, there was more that we wanted to do that we didn't get time to do because we too struggle with balance. We're here with you, figuring it out.
That's for the after show.
It's for the after show.
Yes.
So hopefully you all got something good out of this. Next week we have a very special episode, and our theme will be a secret because I can't tell you yet. But tune in.
We couldn't figure out the
next
right
week.
word.
It is going to be a very, very special episode. It will be epic. Maybe epic will be our word next week, which will be really fun. Make sure you
tune
in.
magic?
Magic. Yes, magic. Every Wednesday at 1 p.m. we will be hanging out with you here on Office Hours on Adobe Live. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe as well. But we will see you next week for a very special pre-recorded episode. We will be live in chat hanging out, but we are pre-recording it because there's some magic that we need to show you. So we're going to be pre-recording that. We will see you next week. We'll hang out in chat. You can join the Discord, discord.gg/ACC. We can talk all about the secrets that are coming up next week, and that's where we will be to talk next week. So we'll see you there. It's going to be wild. Everybody hold on to your hats, and we'll see you there. Bye.
Later.